Good morning. Sorry, again. Good afternoon, members of the PharmaCoir Board of Directors. I am Palak, and today I am here to discuss the possibility of a merger between PharmaCo and PharmaCoir. Before we dive into that, let me give you an overview of PharmaCo. PharmaCo is a medium-sized, diversified, integrated pharmaceutical company that has been in operation since 1923. It began as a retail and a research operation and has since become a strong competitor in the industry with a product portfolio that includes branded prescription and over-the-counter therapeutics. One of the key aspects of PharmaCo's operation is its
analysis of the proposal. We recommend that PharmaCoir proceed with the merger deal with PharmaCo. PharmaCo has demonstrated a strong commitment to protecting its data assets and has implemented security policies and controls based on the NIST cybersecurity framework. And despite a recent ransomware incident, we believe that PharmaCo's commitment to safeguarding their organizational information remains steadfast. Next slide. Prior to the cyber attack, PharmaCo was on track for record-breaking performance that quarter, with a healthy earnings report and a strong share price. Despite this current offer for 30% less, we believe that PharmaCo's fundamental outlook remains strong, and that the merger will deliver sustainable value creation for shareholders. Furthermore, PharmaCo is a successful global conglomerate with patented products and a strong market standing. A merger with PharmaCo will not only result in significant cost savings, but will also strengthen PharmaCoir's market position and provide access to new markets and resources. Next slide. In conclusion, we believe that the proposed merger deal with PharmaCo is a sound business decision that will deliver long-term benefits for PharmaCoir and its shareholders.
Into two major groups. One is the insufficient cybersecurity measure, and another one is inadequate risk management. So if we talk about insufficient cybersecurity measures, PharmaCo had a mature IT infrastructure, and they adhere to the NIST cybersecurity framework. Its cybersecurity measures were insufficient to guard against any new attacks. Secondly, inadequate monitoring and detection capabilities were found to be non-existent. Poor incident response planning and execution also were one of the insufficient cybersecurity measures. Now we talk about the inadequate risk management. So PharmaCo had a limited understanding of cybersecurity risk and the potential impact on their organization. There were insufficient investment in cybersecurity resources and infrastructure for mitigating cyber risk. Delay in testing of incident response plan could have helped for PharmaCo minimize the impact of cybersecurity attacks. And finally, the managerial oversight on cyber threat intelligence report and statistics contributed to adequate risk management efforts of PharmaCo. And next slide. So this slide actually presents our analysis on the domain-wise assessment for PharmaCo based on NIST cybersecurity framework. As you can see, there were several domain and subdomains where PharmaCo stood non-compliant for its cybersecurity controls. The assessment of PharmaCo's gaps clearly reflects certain non-compliance and certain partial compliance compared to this cybersecurity framework. And this table points exactly what was missing to successfully address a cyber attack, incident, and response efforts. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to talk our analysis, overall analysis on PharmaCo's ransomware cyber attacks. So if we talk about analysis, the ransomware attack had significant implications on PharmaCo, including their inability to process any bill orders the moment they got attacked. The emails of CEO, board, vice chair, and the deal team were exfiltrated for a period of 3 months, which could have contained sensitive data. Sorry. The sensitive PHI data for 200,000 customers were also stolen and posted on dark web. Let's talk about impact and containment efforts. So the ransomware encrypted the customer database and was unable to recover the files from the backups as they were infected as well. The legal and PR teams were working on a separate track to deal with the regulatory fallout and the PHI data theft that were found on dark web. The PharmaCo only managed to block certain IPs responsible for allowing the malicious ransomware code to within its network. Next slide, please. Here we're going to talk about the recovery from the attack, and our analysis what Pharmaco had done. So recovering from a ransomware attack was next to impossible for Pharmaco, as IT and security teams were unable to break the ransomware encryption, for which hackers is demanded $25,000. There was no assurance that Pharmaco would get its data back even after the ransomware was paid. Sorry. Talking about the root cause analysis. So initially, Pharmaco found out that the attack resulted in operation financial loss due to the ransomware demand and the cost of cybersecurity repairs. Junior analyst was also found to send 100 records of PHI data to another employee, which was a clear violation of Pharmaco's security policies. Finally, based on the CERT incident report, they were unable to find any conclusive root cause for the ransomware incident. Next slide, please. So Pharmaco, the key findings that we have seen, which were directly responsible for the handling of Pharmaco's ransomware cyber attacks, we have divided this into the 4 areas. So first and foremost was the lack of communication between the deal team and the CISO Paul Williams, which was a significant issue. The CISO was not aware of the deal team existence, and this lack of knowledge led to the security breach. It is crucial to ensure that all relevant security personnel are aware of existence of sensitive data and security measures in place to protect it. Secondly, the lack of action on threat intelligence and oversight by Pharmaco management on the Q2 cyber brief resulted in no action on reassessing the risk of increasing phishing campaigns posed to Pharmaco and their executive leadership, which were also responsible for the ransomware attack. Thirdly, the non-existence and ad hoc containment efforts, poor incident detection and response efforts of Pharmaco security team contributed to the overall mishandling of the ransomware response and recovery efforts. This resulted in the larger PHI data theft and inadequate containment and recovery actions for the company. Finally, delay in prioritizing the planned cybersecurity exercises for Q3 and Q4, citing the risks that pose in light of the ongoing phishing campaigns against pharmaceutical companies and executive members of the companies, helped attackers find an opportunity to infect the Pharmaco email accounts and IP assets. Next slide talks about the case summary, how the overall case unfolded, and what exactly
8 recommendations for companies to enhance their cybersecurity posture. So first is to conduct a comprehensive cybersecurity risk and gap assessment. This will help you identify potential vulnerabilities and threats to your network and systems. We recommend the assessment to be conducted using the High Trust Common Security Framework, or also known as the High Trust CSF. 2, establish effective cyber incident response plans that are aligned with the High Trust CSF. These plans should include procedures and playbooks that can be tested for effectiveness. In the event of a cyber attack, a well-defined response plan can help minimize the damage and reduce the downtime. Third, regularly scan and patch systems for any vulnerabilities. This helps identify and address any potential weaknesses that cyber criminals may exploit. Outdated software and systems are vulnerable and therefore oftentimes targeted by cyber criminals. So therefore, updating software with the latest security patches and upgrades is crucial to mitigate these risks. 4th, implement a cyber threat intelligence process. This involves reviewing, evaluating, and acting on all cyber threat intelligence received from reliable sources to ensure preventative measures are in place for cyber attacks. Next slide, thank you. 5th, implement multi-factor authentication. This adds an extra layer of security to all sensitive accounts and systems, making it more difficult for cyber criminals to gain unauthorized access. 6th, use encryption when handling sensitive data, both in transit and at rest. This will help protect the confidentiality and integrity of the data. Encryption ensures that even if data is intercepted, it remains unreadable to unauthorized parties. 7th, conduct regular backups. It is essential to ensure that data can be recovered in the events of a breach or other disasters. You could minimize downtime by restoring lost data quickly. Lastly, work with trusted partners such as cybersecurity firms and consultants. These partners can provide valuable expertise, tools, and resources to detect and address cyber risks. Next slide, please. So now I would be going over what the High Trust Common Security Framework is. The High Trust CSF is a framework that normalizes in security and privacy requirements for organizations. It provides structure, transparency, guidance, and cross-references to to organizations. The High Trust CSF core structure is based on the ISO, IEC 27001 and 27002, and incorporates more than 40 other security and privacy-related regulations, standards, and frameworks, providing comprehensive and prescriptive coverage. So now, by adopting the CSF, organizations can increase trust and transparency among business partners and consumers, streamline compliance interactions in and out of the organization, provide a single benchmark to facilitate internal and external measurements that incorporate security and privacy requirements of applicable standards and regulations, and contain the cost of compliance and the number, complexity, and degree of variation in security audits or reviews. So we highly recommend both companies to look into the High Trust CSF certification in order to evolve their security. Next slide. Thank you. So we conducted our evaluation by looking at the 19 domains of the High Trust CSF, and we also assess regulatory obligations, including federal legislation, such as the HIPAA law, federal agency rules and guidance, such as NIST, state legislation, the California Consumer Privacy Act, internal regulations, such as the GDPR, and industry frameworks, such as PCI and COVID. So next slide. So now to conclude our presentation, Pharmaco's ransomware attack resulted in loss of critical data, as well as disrupting their operations, affecting their ability to deliver products to their customers. This attack exposed vulnerabilities in the company's cybersecurity infrastructure, highlighting the need for stronger measures to prevent incidents. So to mitigate the risk of future cyber attacks, Pharmaco needs to take a proactive approach to cybersecurity, such as regular risk assessment, an incident response plan, implementation of security controls, and continuous monitoring of their networks and for potential threats. Also, they should consider working with third-party cybersecurity experts to help identify vulnerabilities and provide recommendations for further improvement. Also, it is extremely important to educate their employees on best practices for cybersecurity, cyber threats, and how to prevent them. So this cyber attack serves as a reminder of the importance of having strong cybersecurity measures. Therefore, by implementing the right strategies and processes, companies can minimize the risk of future cybersecurity incidents and ensure the safety and security of their operations and stakeholders, such as protecting critical data and ensuring business continuity after disasters. Well, that concludes our presentation. Thank you. Any questions?